Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Burger. So in this video we're going to be ranking all the Turrican games that are available on Evercade on the Turrican Collection, and I'm going to go from my least favourite to my favourite version of Turrican. Now I'm really only going to be ranking 5 games here, so before we get started I want to sort of discount a few of the versions here. It's not really worth adding to the ranking system. So realistically, the score attack games are not really sort of big games. There's no point in actually ranking them with the actual main games. They are really just single sort of levels where you're trying to get a score and sort of complete the level. It's very basic and they are quite difficult and extremely frustrating to play, so we'll probably leave them sort of ranked bottom at the end equally. And then probably the same goes for the director's cuts of Super Turrican and Mega Turrican. So each one of them was the Super SNES version, and the sort of Genesis or Mega Drive version was Mega Turrican. Now, there's not really enough extra content to sort of warrant ranking these games either, so they can be second last equally as well, because there's not enough content. There is some additional stuff added here and there, but there's not enough. I think Super Turrican has an extra small part of a level added in near the sort of beginning of the game. There's maybe some extra graphics here and there, but there's not an awful lot extra stuff. Same goes for Mega Turrican. There's not an awful lot of stuff in there. Obviously I did come across one of the additions that was added to Mega Turrican Director's Cut, where Sonic and Mario actually are included within the game, which is quite amusing. But they are there. But other than that, I don't think there's any point in sort of ranking these 4 in the game. So what I'm going to be doing is actually ranking Turrican, the original one, on Amiga, Turrican II, the Final Fight on Amiga, Super Turrican, which was the SNES version of the Turrican games, Turrican 3 and Mega Turrican. I'm going to class as one game as well because they are pretty similar. There's not an awful lot of differences between the two. One's the Amiga version, Turrican 3, Mega Turrican is the Mega Drive version. And they are basically the same games. There's different sounds perhaps in the game. You'll know between the two versions which I would be playing. Mega Turrican does sound more like a Mega Drive game, and that's basically it. There's not an awful lot of differences. Graphically, there's some changes. It looks a bit tighter perhaps on the Mega Turrican game, but for the best part, they are the same game, so they will be ranked as 1. And then finally there will be Super Turrican 2, which was the SNES game. That was the last one that was actually released to this point, technically. So without further ado, let's get stuck into my ranking, starting with my least favourite at number 5. And at number 5, it's Super Turrican 2 on the Super Nintendo. Perhaps probably the most impressive version out there, but it doesn't really feel like a Turrican game to me. There's a sort of lost that sort of exploration aspect that I really enjoyed from the first 2 games. Yes, technically this is probably the most impressive version of Turrican. Lots of really cool special effects, lots of bosses, lots of different variants in the gameplay, which is probably a good thing, but for me it just doesn't feel like a Turrican game. It feels more like a run and gun game, and probably the most frustrating of all the games to play. It's excruciatingly tough, and I found myself getting really frustrated while playing it. No doubt, technically amazing, really impressive, but one of the most difficult and frustrating versions of Turrican out there. Now, you might have played this first and you might even prefer this game first. Obviously, this is only a personal opinion, but for me, this is definitely the poorest version of Turrican. And at number 4, it's Super Turrican, also on the Super Nintendo. Now, I don't have a thing against the SNES at all. I just felt that the sort of versions on the sort of console Super Nintendo just wasn't the same. It sort of lost something that was all about Turrican for me. Even the jumping technique was all very different. You only had a limited sort of height that you could jump. It seemed a bit restricted, whereas in the original games it was a bit more floaty, and therefore you could jump a little bit higher. And they changed one of the weapons to a freeze beam, which was absolutely horrible. In my opinion, I don't like it. And this game is probably arguably the toughest version of all the Turrican games out there. It is really, really frustrating. Probably only surpassed by Super Turrican II. So Super Turrican was basically Turrican 1, 2 and 3 all sort of mixed together, so to speak, and sort of redesigned. So you'll probably find a lot of the sort of bosses, some of the level designs were pretty similar, but for me it just lost something that the sort of Amiga versions of Turrican had. It obviously tried to make it a little bit more sort of console friendly, a little bit more to a different audience, but it just didn't work as well for me. And at number 3, it's Turrican 3 / Mega Turrican. Now, Turrican 3 came out first, I believe, even though it was designed or based on the Mega Drive version Mega Turrican. So a little bit complicated and confusing, to be honest, but you can probably tell by the game it doesn't feel quite the same as Turrican 1 and 2. Definitely feels more sort of console friendly, so to speak. And it introduced the grapple hook, which I thought was a little bit frustrating to actually use and sort of slowed down the gameplay somewhat. But I guess out of all the games, this one is perhaps the easiest version of all the games to play. Not saying it's easy, it's just one of the easier versions to get into. You'll probably be less frustrated and die less often, so to speak. But it's not easy, it still is quite challenging, but you'll find yourself getting a little bit further than you would with any of the other games. Now, for me, it's not as good as the other two games, which we'll look at in a minute. It's still very good, and I guess you might even think this is the best version, or even Mega Turrican. But this was number 3. Okay, and at number 2, it's Turrican II, The Final Fight. Now, arguably, you could probably have put this at number 1. I know a lot of people have this as their favourite Turrican game, and it's easy to see why. There's lots to love about it. Technically, everything about it is an improvement over the original game. Music is absolutely superb, which is something of a theme of all the Turrican games that are on this collection. Really, really great music, great sound effects, everything about it is superb, great bosses, sort of great level design as well. But for me, I'm always going to pick the original Turrican on the Amiga as my favourite game. Maybe it's some sort of nostalgia thing, but I think that's my favourite version. The simplified version has all the sort of different weapons, and we sort of lost the grenades in this game for some reason. I guess something had to sort of go. There is also a rather cool shoot 'em up section within the game, which kind of probably takes you by surprise. You don't really expect it to happen. It feels completely different from the rest of the game, which is I guess a little bit weird, but it does fit rather well into the gameplay. Probably the level design does get a bit weird towards the end of it, but no doubt this is an absolute classic game. You'll probably get lost, you'll probably run out of time, you'll probably run out of lives, but what an absolute classic. I feel bad that I've now ranked this as number 2, but for me, I will always go back to Turrican 1, purely probably for nostalgia reasons.
Welcome to Turrican!
So in at number 1, it's the original Turrican on the Amiga. I think this one is just perfect. I think they got it right the first time round. Obviously they sort of tried to change a lot of things. They improved a heck of a lot in Turrican 2, there's no doubt about it. But I will always go back to the original. I like this one the best. It has all the different weapons as well. We lost a few weapons throughout the game. This one just seems perfect in every way for me. The level design, obviously the graphics have been surpassed in the sort of later games, there is no doubt about it, but I have a huge nostalgia for Turrican, the original one, even on the C64, which obviously I played first, but the Amiga version is certainly the best one to play, there is no doubt about it. Love the sort of level design, there's lots of exploration needed, but beware, you will probably run out of time. But don't worry, use those save states, even use the sort of infinite life cheat that can help you sort of play through the game. and sort of see everything that you could possibly see. I love the sort of flying shooting section as well, which is rather cool. A nice break up and play. You will get lost lots of time, you will run out of time, plenty of time. You'll even get lost and wondering, how the heck do you even complete this level? There's lots of levels like that. You can't find the exit, it's hiding somewhere. But that's the joy of it. Anyway, what an absolute classic game. And it's been a joy to play it through it once again on Evercade. I'm delighted that Blaze have managed to get Turrican Collection onto Evercade. Arguably the best collection of Turrican available right now. So guys, that's my ranking of the Turrican Collection, available now on Evercade. Let me know which are your favourites and least favourites and why in the comments. That would be appreciated. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you again in the next one. Bye for now.